Hi and welcome to Morbid History, where we discuss folklore, mythology, historic true crime, and generally dark stuff from our jauntily macabre past. Today we're delving into an unsolved mystery from Sweden. Yay! So yeah, let's get straight on into it. Today we travel to Sweden in the 1800s. In 1861, a girl called Karolina Olsson was born on the small island of Oknö outside of Småland. Karolina wouldn't have made a big splash in history if it wasn't for this weird tale that we're getting into right now. Karolina was born to a large family, though she was the only daughter and she only had brothers. Her father was a fisherman and her mother stayed at home taking care of their little house. And Karolina was tasked to help her mother for most of her young life. She did teach herself how to read and write, so she was pretty academically gifted. And she did actually start school too, but she was already around, well, an early teenager at that point. Things were just huffing along in their little life out here on the little island of Oknö. Everything would change though, when Karolina was only 14 years old. It was the 18th of February in 1875. It was extremely cold and the waters around had turned into ice. What she thought, well, just solid ice. Very, very cold. Karolina, for some reason, was out walking on some ice where she promptly fell and hit her head. She hit it quite hard and she even hit a tooth. Either way, for the next few days she would be complaining that she had a headache and her tooth wasn't feeling that great. Her family was poor and there they were in a little village on a little island. It wasn't like they could just call a doctor, so they just let it simmer. But Karolina did not get better. A little trivia: her parents actually thought that her headache and toothache came from being hexed by some witch. This was the late 1800s. But still people in rural places in Sweden actually still believed in these things. So I guess they didn't even think about calling a doctor even if they had the money, because they blamed it on a random witch. Either way, a few days passed and on the 22nd of February, Karolina was still complaining about a toothache and a headache. It was evening, so her mom sent her to bed, hoping that she would wake up the next day feeling a lot better. And this is where our mystery begins. 'Cause Karolina would be known from that day forward as the sleeper of Oknö. Soverskan på Oknö. The sleeping beauty of Sweden. She did not wake up again for 32 years. As the first few days passed and Karolina just did not wake up, of course her parents and her brothers, they all started to worry. And they tried everything. They started slapping her across the face, pouring some water on her, shouting at her, and she wouldn't budge. So they went to more desperate means, started poking at her with needles, holding a candle, a flame super duper close to her skin, and she still just wouldn't wake up. They must have thrown the whole witch scenario out of the window, because they did after a while call for a doctor who had to come from the mainland. The doctor arrived and had a wee little look at the young woman, seemingly just sleeping. He also pricked at her and tried everything, but couldn't come to a conclusion as to what the heck was happening. He just said that she seems to be in some kind of coma, maybe from being in a very sensitive age, maybe puberty brought this on. Hysteria was a common thing to throw at women. Some kind of coma. Even though she was known during the years to move a bit sometimes and even walk a little and talk in her sleep. She would recite prayers, which isn't always the case, I don't think, with people in a coma. But that was the diagnosis they gave her, and she just kept on sleeping. Karolina's mother became her caregiver, and she stated that Karolina lived on just 2 glasses of sweetened milk a day. As the years progressed, the doctor kept coming and looking at her. He noted that her hair didn't seem to grow, her nails didn't grow. She didn't seem to age, her muscle mass wasn't withering. She wasn't losing weight, even though she only had 2 glasses of milk a day. Things weren't adding up. So they sent her in 1882 to Oskarshamn and placed her there for examinations from plenty of other doctors. She became more like a medical mystery, and during all the time that she was there, she never woke up there either. They poked and prodded. They gave her electric therapy, what's it called? Electric shock therapy to her head, but still she just wouldn't wake up. There she was, sleeping, and they gave up and sent her home again to Oknö, where she stayed and slept until she finally woke up again. But before she woke up, tragedy would strike 2 times. At one point, her brother died of drowning out on the fishing boat, and it said that she would sob and cry hysterically in her sleep when that happened. And also in 1905, her mother would sadly pass, and then that time too, Karolina would be crying hysterically, but in her sleep. This seems to be where Karolina was starting to change a bit. She got a new caretaker. They hired a lady to come and take care of her. This maid too said that it seemed strange that Karolina's hair was always very neat, fresh and cut, and her nails didn't grow, and all those things that other people had already mentioned, and that time seemed to have stopped for her, basically. But another thing, she started losing weight at this point and fading away a bit. So by the time she finally woke up in 1908, Karolina was 46 years old. It's said that her father went into her room and saw that she sat up, and at first he just thought that it was another one of those sleepwalking things, until he noticed that she was looking around and seemed alert. All of a sudden, she seemed shocked. She was very malnourished by this point, frail, and she couldn't recognize her own father or her brothers. In her head, she was still 14. She couldn't recognize her own face in a mirror, of course. The doctors came running, like, oh dear, this thing that we've been discussing for 32 years, she's up now. She had trouble speaking in the beginning, but most of her memories from before the accident were still there. She could point out Sweden on a map. That's something. Yep. That's more than most people on the planet know, so she had that going for her, even if she missed most of her life. And then she basically just continued living as if nothing happened. She stayed on the island of Oknö until she passed away in 1950 at 88 years old from a brain hemorrhage. And she took the entire mystery of what the heck actually happened with her to her demise. Speculations are rife around the whole event. Some speculate that she just really enjoyed the attention and love and affection that her mother gave her when she pretended to be asleep. Others think that it was her mother, through Munchausen by proxy, fooled her own daughter into thinking that she was this ill just to be able to take care of her and the attention that it brought. Some think that it was a scam between the mother and Karolina. A bluff. But like, what did they gain from that? Please let me know if you have any ideas about that. Or maybe she just went into a catatonic state from hysteria, not being able to process her own puberty. Or a witch. Ah, I think I'm going with the witch theory on this one. The facts are just that at 14 she went to bed, did not wake up, she wasn't seen in a waking state, as far as we know, for 32 years. She looked much younger than her age when she did wake up, apparently lived on only milk, and she did wake up 3 years after the passing of her mother. And she lived to a grand old age of 88 when she finally did wake up. Yeah, it's a strange one. But that was the story of Soverskan på Oknö, the sleeper of Oknö. What's your theories, conspiracies, ideas? Let me know down below. I'm very curious to know what you guys think. I'm a bit on the fence, actually. I can't really come to a clear conclusion myself. I need your help, please, down below. Thank you so much for watching this ramble here on my rambly little channel. Please let me know down below what you thought, and don't forget to hit the bell and subscribe so you won't miss more jauntily macabre content in the future. And of course, a giant thanks to my patrons. I could not even well, I couldn't make this channel without your support. It's thanks to you I can even pay for my editing software and all that fun stuff. So thank you, you're all amazing. I'm gonna leave a link down below to my Patreon and my other places where you can support me if you want. Either way, stay amazing, stay hydrated, and stay morbid. And I'll see you very soon. Mwah.